By the way, did you guys hear the news about Ubisoft? You know, it's quite a breaking news that essentially Ubisoft is over, at least in a form it exists today. And it's going to be, I'm not sure the concrete terms and condition how it's working, but basically the Ubisoft as we know it is going to remain as an existing entity. Only its most valuable IPs are going to be funneled into a new entity, a new company, which is going to be owned by Tencent. At least 25% of it is going to be owned by Tencent. Now, if you don't know, Tencent is a Chinese company which most projects which Tencent is involved is actually a really good outcome for gamers. They have paired with awesome titles. So, you know, Tencent being involved with Ubisoft I'm pretty positive about this turns of events. I'm just curious that what is going to be on the internet after this news, because there were already, you know, Assassin's Creed Shadows and overall the fate of Ubisoft was an extremely emotional topic for many different people on the internet. And mainly because of this culture war thing. Okay, nobody did talk about whether or not the game is good. And even if they did, it was overly exaggerated, even for one way or another. Either it's a 1 out of 10 or it's a 10 out of 10. Both of them are complete bullshit. Okay, so the truth is that it was an average game, and it was really shamelessly monetized. I mean, come on, this game had a paid feature that you can unlock the map. You know, this is a single-player game which had a paid feature that you can unlock the entire map for real-life money. I mean, back in the day, it was a cheat code. We would, you know, type in Age of Empires, Marco Polo, and bam, you saw the entire map if you really wanted to do that. But, you know, it was a cheat, but it was completely free. Of course, you could download mods in modern games which do the same. Now, it's a paid feature. Look, if you are sad that this project is failed, I really cannot help you. These kind of predatory monetary practices has to go. We as gamers has to fight against them. And of course, because, you know, this game as well get into this woke and anti-woke discourse, that is why a lot of people trying to protect it. While, come on, I don't care if there's a black samurai and a lesbian ninja or whatever, you know? Of course, yeah, I would prefer having a native samurai and, you know, play with that game, but for that I have Ghost of Tsushima, and that is an awesome game. But just because you have these kind of things, that's not going to cause the game to fail. It's failed because it's a predatory monetary practices, and also because the game is boring as hell. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. And it should surprise no one that this actually happened, that Ubisoft is going to essentially close doors. It's guaranteed that many of its employees are going to laid off, and it's going to be the end of many careers, and it's greatly going to restructure the entire thing what we did know Ubisoft for so far to be. And as I said before, all of these articles about 2 or 3 million players are playing with Assassin's Creed Shadows is literally meaningless. And when I told this, lots of people were offended. A lot of people actually thought, I get comments on YouTube and Reddit and such, that this is hateful and this is, you know, just, I don't know why it's hateful or what's the problem with this, but the truth is that this game is on Ubisoft Plus. It's a streaming service for $14 a month. And we do not know that how many people are exactly on Ubisoft Plus, but I would say that at least 5 million players are on Ubisoft Plus who already played for the service, and therefore these people got Assassin's Creed Shadows for completely free of charge. They just got it. And from this 5 million, at least 5 million, 3 million bothered to try the game out. Okay? We do not know how many people did buy the game, and we do not know how many people did subscribe to Ubisoft Plus just for the sole reason to play with Assassin's Creed Shadows. We do not know that. But, you know, just from this number that 3 million players already tried it out, yeah, it doesn't tell you anything. And if anything, it just only says you that, yeah, it's doesn't really look good. And now, you know, it shouldn't surprise anyone, but of course a lot of people are surprised by this, that Basically, Ubisoft just admits defeat, and now they are going to, restructure the entire company greatly, and that's of course going to cause layoffs. That's of course going to cause closing of different studios as well. Of course, the exact details are not yet public and maybe not yet sure, but that is going to happen. Again, it shouldn't surprise anyone, but game journalists especially so willingly misreported every single information about it, because the truth is a lot of people were trying to get every single information to just show that yes, this game is a success, and any single detail, any single little piece of information which might show that yes, the game seems to be alright, is blown out of proportion. It was reported everywhere, it was shown everywhere. You see, everything is fine, everything is great, it's doing great. While the reality of the situation, which again is really easily verifiable with simple logic and simple research, was it was ignored, because people just didn't want it to face with reality, because they decided that they are on the side of Assassin's Creed Shadows. They want this game to be successful, and since they want that, they just trying to pretend that this is the reality. And the most problematic thing in this entire situation, we have a mediocre game with predatory monetization practices. Every gamer's best interest is to this game to fail, because this is the only way we can change these. If you don't want ammunition as a playable DLC in the future, you have to resist every single predatory monetization tactic what is in the market. And Ubisoft is extremely predatory in these terms, and we have to fight against that. And yes, this failure, and yes, the overall failure of Ubisoft is primarily due to these monetization tactics. Okay, all of these woke, non-woke nonsense which is around Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's just it's just the cherry on top. The main problem, while every single project did fail so far for Ubisoft, at least in the couple of years, it was because their aggressive monetization and boring gameplay. This repetitive, uninteresting formula, which basically just built around to somehow convince the players to buy more microtransactions. Especially in single-player games, that's atrocious. And because Assassin's Creed Shadows get into this culture rotting, lots of people are on Twitter and on Reddit are extremely offended that this game is a failure. And it's just this amazing attitude and this amazing misguided hate, really. There are significantly more people on Reddit melting their brains out and screaming and crying that why this game isn't successful than people playing the game. If all of these people on Reddit, all of these people on Twitter would actually bother to buy the game and play it, this game actually might have been successful. But you know what? Most of the people on the internet who was in this, woke anti-woke trade war, and they're trying to push and support these kind of progressive games and progressive ideas in games, they're not playing with the games. They want you and me, average gamers, to play with these games what they want to. And they want to boycott the games which are pushing the anti-woke points, or at least not progressives enough to be approved by them. And the way to boycott those games is boycotting them for you. Like it happened with Hogwarts Legacy. People were attacked for playing the game. Streamers were bullied for just streaming the game. I mean, this is a video game. I can play that video game if I want to. No, because we boycott it, so therefore you are not allowed to play with it. And this is the same mentality what actually happens right now in real life with Tesla. People are literally going around cities and burning down Teslas and killing them and damaging them, vandalizing cars. Cars of everyday people who might even be their allies, just happened to buy a car years ago. They have nothing to do with this, and they're just a lot of people just vandalizing these cars because now they are boycotting this company. And the way they are boycotting this company is that they are boycotting it for you. So they're not just not buying the car, they also convince you to sell the car. They want to convince you to also boycott the company, and not in the way that they are just, going to argue and convince you to maybe you should change your, car, sell this one and buy another one. No, no, no. They are going to burn it down. And you have to buy a new one. And this is the exact same mentality with video games. No, you are not allowed to pay Hogwarts Legacy, because we don't allow you to. What is this mentality? And how can anyone support this? So you can argue, you can give really good arguments why you should buy or play with a game. Even Assassin's Creed Shadows, you can say a lot of things, a lot of positive things, because there are some. But that doesn't really matter, because it's not about convincing you to play with the game. It's about to force you to play with the game, while they themselves are not playing with it. That's the level of hypocrisy I never understood, and cannot understand. Literally, hundreds of thousands of people are out there screaming their lungs out that this game is not successful, while they themselves are not playing with it.